Does Swamp want to play another year?
Yes, he does. We've already talked about it.
When Kyle came here as a walk-on, could you ever in your wildest dreams envision the kind of career he's had, or what are your thoughts?
No, because originally Kyle wanted to walk on at Duke, and then at the end, Indiana considered giving him the scholarship. Possibly they wanted him to walk on there. No, I never. It was real funny because our coaches along the way said you would do him if you really like him as much as you say you do to me. I don't want to mention which ones there were, but there were multiple ones. You'd do him a big favor if you would have him transferred where he could play. Because at the time he was getting killed by T-Will every single day. T-Will got a lot of enjoyment out of killing him every day. And so they just thought it would be best for him to go elsewhere. Only Walter McCarty said there's no way we'd stay with. But
can you take us through the process with Swapshire and, because he could come back here, I guess, and play too.
We don't have a scholarship available.
It's all in numbers games?
It is. And what happens is, not that you don't want to come back, you don't know that a player's going to be injured, so you're looking at, you can't tell. It's the same thing with Mike Marion and Stephen Van Treese. You're already committed to what you're going to do. And the way I look at it with any basketball player in this regard, if a player's going to come in and play, I think it's in Jared. And I love Jared Swapshire. I love him. And I would love to see him go play 32 minutes somewhere rather than play 10, 12 minutes with us. So that's what it was and what it boils down to. Everybody should have that opportunity. But because of Shane Behannon, he's not going to get that opportunity, even if I had a scholarship. Because I love him so much, I would tell him to go elsewhere. If it was my son, I'd tell him to go elsewhere.
Did that work out? So George Good was at the game the other day. Did he enjoy his experience this year playing?
I think he enjoyed it tremendously. I don't think what I've learned from that scenario is get him a situation where he can play like George Good, but get him a situation where he has a chance to win. Winning 3 games is difficult.
So it's Chris Webb. Chris was a surprise to you too, a little bit, right? I mean, you didn't know him.
No, I had no idea he was coming here. So I told that story many times. It was just something that Stevie Mass put together, and so he's had someone to arrive in your doorstep and not have to. We did give him a scholarship 1 year, but it's indicative of how things can. All 3 of them, especially Chris and Kyle. Kyle has been a major player. To answer your question, never ever thought that Kyle, from that status, would ever get to this status. I never thought that. Never thought it was conceivable, by the way.
Was he a walk-on or a guy you anticipated? What was because you're different.
I asked him, would he be a walk-on? He originally wanted to go to Duke, but by the summertime, I said, look, Kyle, I'm probably going to have a scholarship for you. I said, now, I may need it the following year or somewhere down the road, but anytime I have it, it's yours.
When you committed to come here thinking
he's going to be a walk-on.
Okay.
Rick, when did you first see out of Kyle that this type of potential was something that he had? You said you didn't think it was conceivable at first.
No, I didn't think it was conceivable that the Kyle Keurig of today.
Right.
I've seen a lot of players improve and get better throughout time, but I liked Kyle from the times I saw him. In the summertime, I liked him, and it's like anything else. It's getting the opportunity. I think playing against T-Will that year and getting his butt kicked so much, it was really good for him because he had to really improve every single day, or T-Will would humiliate him. And so that year was very special for him.
Was that Syracuse game, how much of an eye-opener was it to you to see the potential that he had?
Well, as I remember back, he had no points at halftime, but they had 2 or none.
None.
Yeah, so and then as you're watching it, listening to the call by the announcer, it was pretty much an eye-opener.
Is he had the kind of senior year that you wanted, and during that stretch where the season may have could have gone either way, did he step forward, behind the scenes?
Kyle is so quiet that, and I just talked to him today. I said, look, I want you to, from this point on, it has nothing to do with being senior. I want you to do more things on the basketball court, at least attempt them. By that I mean I want you playing better defense. I want you trying to get down the floor and dunk the basketball. I want you grabbing offensive rebounds. I want you doing more things than scoring. And I said, I'm going beyond you. I probably, Kyle and Billy Donovan, are the two players in my lifetime that I got on the least of any basketball player. Those two guys.
And why is that? Once he did have more expectations of what he could do last year against it, why is that? That you didn't have to hit on him as much?
He's just too nice a guy to get on. You feel, you know, there are very few players when you go home at night and say, you know, I got on that guy, I feel terrible about it. I may not have to, you know, anytime. I only yelled at Billy Donovan one time in 2 years, and it was because coerced by Stu Jackson in the NCAA tournament, and I felt awful walking out for 2 minutes. I've never got on Billy Donovan ever because he works so hard, and I really had never gotten on Kyle, but just until recently I've gotten on.
And when he was going against T-Well, did you see a lot of his competitive side come out? I mean,
not really. So I'm getting his ass kicked big time. And we used to go back in every morning meeting. We'd say, boy, can we put T-Well on someone else? Now, T-Well's not the type of guy that, you know, helps you up when you're down.
You mentioned playing the faster tempo. Is there something that could be done? It seems like, especially in that last game, when Gordon gets a rebound, he'll hold it.
We talked about that yesterday, but I'll tell you something, guys. And you know, it's like when we go back to playing Long Beach, you know, when we scored a lot of points, and I looked at the film, and I was really disturbed by looking at that film. But when I went home that night, I was so looking forward to that film because I thought we played great, because they were a heck of a team, and they were on a good run at the time. We played very well the other night. I mean, you would never think that. I mean, I went home saying, I'm dreading watching this film. We watched, I made the team watch it together because I wanted to make a lot of corrections. And I made very few corrections. We played really well against Pittsburgh.
All around?
Yeah, all around. We played really well. Now, what CL just said is true. Our guys are holding on to the ball too long, especially Gorky. But Gorky, I told him, I said, I was really disappointed in him after the game because he didn't block enough shots. There were so many opportunities for him to do things he didn't do. And he said, Coach, I'm exhausted. My legs have given out. And he's played probably too many minutes in practice and in the games. He sort of hit that wall. So I gave him off yesterday completely, and I'll probably give him off most of today's practice because he's not the strongest guy in the world from the lower body, and so he needs a little bit of rest. Where the other guys are pretty fresh. Gorky's never really had an injury all year. He's withstood everything, so he needs a couple of days off, and I think he'll do wonders for him. But I was surprised. You know, I'm sure all of you were surprised. But if you watch that film, we played really good basketball. You know, we moved well. We played excellent defense. We made some mistakes, but we tried to run on them. They were back. You know, there's only one break miscue that we had was when Shea Mahan dropped the ball on a break. Peyton made a good pass and he dropped the ball.
Yeah, is there any way this game's not a grinder, you think?
No.
I called it right.
What was it, 45-44 against Cincinnati?
46-45.
But how about Notre Dame last night having 36 points with a few minutes to go in the game? You know what happened? And it's really a matter of you can't believe how much the game was choreographed by technology. I mean, Jamie Dixon was yelling every single. Now we have a thing that where the ball goes is on the court. It dictates what play we're running. The players knew everything. I mean everything. So it's that time of year in league play where everybody knows the other team's offense. So you've got to figure out now how can you push it up. Well, we pressed Pittsburgh. We did a very good job. We got a lot of offense off it. But even when we pressed them, they didn't attack the basket. They got it over half court, 8 seconds, like 6 times, and then they ran their stuff.
Well, South Florida do the same. I mean, they're probably even more deliberate than Pittsburgh.
South Florida, believe it or not, runs. They do run, but they only average, 67 points a game, Kenny? It was 60 points a game? 59
in the league.
Yeah. So it's, but they do run. And they are big. Very talented team. Very, very good defensively. They play multiple defenses. But they're big, and their point guard is playing tremendous basketball right now. Has that little runner that Russ Smith has, and he's very good at it. Much better at that shot.
Did you see their renaissance coming?
He's a very underrated coach. you all know, he did a very good job at Arkansas, very good job. And then he was let go, so people were surprised, but he's a very good coach, very good teacher at a game. I always knew that about him from his early days. And he's doing it at a school that, doesn't have a long-time basketball tradition. They're just building it themselves. So I'm really not surprised because I knew he was a terrific coach.
Talk about Blackmore that I can in Pittsburgh. I thought you played really well. I mean, offensively, was their defense just that good?
I'm sorry, Kenny interrupted.
What
When I hear that voice, I get worried.
But when you say you go back and look at it, and like offensively, not a lot of points, but you think you played well. Was it their defense matched your defense in that game, or what offensively did you play?
When I say play well, the obvious thing of why we didn't score more points is we didn't shoot well. But I always tell you, and I'll repeat it from last press conference, when we shoot a lot of free throws, our offense is doing some good things because we're getting fouled. Remember I told you I didn't think our defense was good in that one stretch when we were losing because the other team was going to the line 30 times a game. When we go to the line, 23 times, and things are working. We're getting fouled. Now, the perimeter shot wasn't working. Chris Smith was 0 for 4. Somebody else was having a tough night, and so it wasn't going well there. Shane and Gorky weren't getting very much because of the first game, they decided to take away by trapping Gorky and Shane because of what they did at Pittsburgh, which is obviously smart scouting on their part. So we really played a good basketball game. Now, the common fan watching it on TV wants to see a lot of breaks and dunks and great, like the Long Beach game. But if you break down the Long Beach game fundamentally, you're a coach, if you know the game, someone like Russ, you would think that. Someone like you wouldn't know that, but Russ would.
I have a news-related question. The Occupy Louisville movement is planning on having some kind of demonstration before the game. Do you feel like, will that disrupt anything? And just wondering if you have any opinion.
We have Occupy Louisville.
35 years.
We do. No, I don't think they'll disrupt our game. Look, everybody has a movement today, and the one thing I can assure you of is I respect all people from all walks of life. I don't think that from a political standpoint, and I'm very much into politics, you probably don't know that, CEO, but I am. I don't think a college basketball game is where you should demonstrate anything. It just doesn't make any sense. You're looking for attention, but no, I don't think it'll disrupt anything. But I respect all people, and everybody's right to do whatever they want to do, as long as it's civil. How's that answer?
Chris in here first.